Hi, I'm Yolanda and this is Speak On. As part of our Gender and Society series, today we'll be discussing something incredibly important, something that I really feel like I need to learn from, that half of the population of the world could learn from: how to be a woman. Something that is commonly discussed, debated and advised via magazines, TV, film, and in some cases, really weird men. I'm joined by comedian, actor and host of podcast Divorce Club, Samantha Baines. Welcome, Samantha. How are you doing?
Thank you. I'm good, thanks. I'm sitting with a cup of coffee and my little puppy by my feet, and she's chewing a bit of wood, standard.
Oh, and what's your puppy's name?
Custard.
That's such a great name for a puppy.
I thought of the name before I actually got the puppy, because I always used to say, when I'm tired, I say, I'm tiredy custard. I don't know why. It's just the thing that I've come up with.
Yeah.
And then I was like, I really want a dog called Custard. I made it happen.
I love it. I love it. I'd say manifested it, but also just made a choice.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And paid some money for a dog.
Exactly. Okay, so our subject today of this, like how to be a woman, we're bombarded with all these messages and everything all the time. What can you tell us? Can you tell us how to be a woman, Samantha?
I think just copy exactly what I'm doing, because I'm clearly winning at life, and that's how you do it. No, I don't know. Yeah, I think how to be a woman is just like whatever you want it to be. You know, you don't have to. I got divorced, and obviously I have a podcast called The Divorce Club. But when I was married, I think I thought, a woman in a marriage has to be a particular way. And obviously I think I was taught that by society and films and stuff. And then I put that on myself. And then I was trying to be this like perfect wife, and it didn't work. And that's not the reason the marriage failed, but maybe it's one of the reasons. And I've come to realize that, how to be a woman is just whatever you want. Like, I'm divorced now, I'm deaf, I wear a hearing aid, I have a puppy, I don't know if I want children, I'm bisexual. So I'm like discovered all these things as my life has gone on, and I've become like not what I expected, if you know what I mean. Like, no, it wasn't my plan to get divorced and lose my hearing in one ear, but I'm still doing it, and actually I'm happier than ever at the moment. So how to be a woman is, how can you be happy in who you are and your own skin, and whatever the answer to that is how to be a woman.
Yeah, I love that. And so what do you think, what are the things that society tells us about how to be a woman? Because you kind of touched on a few things there, especially as I'm about to be 40. So there's a lot of shit about how to be a woman that I know I don't fall in line with at all at this point. But what things are we told?
I think, well, when you're in school, you've seen all those programs with like the popular girls in school and those films and those TV shows. So I think when you're in school, you think that you have to be popular, and to be popular, it means that you have to have the latest clothes, and your figure has to look a certain way, and you have to, be smiling all the time and not too clever, because boys don't like that, whether you're going to fancy boys or go out with boys or not, but that's what we're taught. Mm-hmm. And I think that the piling on continues, doesn't it? It's, you go out and you get a job, and then you get married, and you have a house, and then you have 2 children, and then you're a wonderful mother who also works, and you're doing everything, and you clean the house, and you look amazing all the time, and you work out, and you don't eat shit. And you've got this amazing friendship group like Sex and the City, and you're all really close, and you meet up every week for amazing dinners and cocktails, and your children just fly into beautiful humans without you even trying. And so there's all this stuff that we're like taught, and you're like, oh, okay, that's what's going to happen in my life. And then from like straight away, as soon as you start acknowledging other people and your role in society, which apparently is only like age 7 or something. Wow. Yeah, you already, because I write children's books, so I'm really interested in like when children first start realizing, what gender means, and that there's really interesting programs that have been on TV where they like watch children interacting. And I think it's about, age 7 when boys are like, no, girls can't do that and stuff like that. So from age 7, you start realizing that this isn't working out like all the TV and films and everyone told me it would. And then you've just sort of got to find your own way. And I think for a long time, you're still trying to live up to that ideal. Even when you're older, like I hope I'm older and cleverer now, but in some ways I'm still trying to live up to some sort of random ideal that I've got via osmosis from all this media and people telling me stuff. But also I'm holding on to that because it's hard to let go.
Yeah.
And you know, when I got divorced and was getting divorced, I was like, feeling all this shame around the end of a marriage. And it was very hard for me to let go of that, even though my friends and the people around me and everyone I'm speaking to on the divorce club is like, you shouldn't feel shame, like you do what's good for you. It is hard for you to let go of some of that stuff, but I feel like I have let go mostly of the shame around getting divorced now, and I'm so much happy for it. So just let go.
Yeah, I get that. I had, when my long-term relationship ended, and it was like 7 years, I felt the shame was the overriding feeling above everything else. And I was like, where does this come from? What on earth? Like, why do I feel shame? I'm like, I didn't, like, the relationship broke down. A lot of horrible stuff happened to me that person did. Why the fuck am I ashamed? But I did have real shame. It's like, I didn't want anyone to know, because it was like, it felt like I was a woman in my mid-30s with no children after this long-term relationship, that some part of that was my failure. And like you were saying, it's what you just get like via osmosis, because no one else is putting that on you. We just kind of, we absorbed it from somewhere, and it's like something happens and for some reason it's activated, and it's like, go away. It's the only thing I can think to say. It's like, go away, this feeling.
Yeah, I mean, it's hard. I think there's also something about history and the historical role of women, or people who identify as women, that we've sort of there's like the weight of history on our shoulders as well. And even though we know that, you know, women got the right to vote and there's an Equal Pay Act, whether there's actual equal pay is another thing. But, you know, we are making strides forward, but you sort of feel the weight of that on your shoulders and like, I sort of have to be a woman like the women before we got the right to vote, but now I can also vote, so I have to be this other sort of woman. So I think letting go of it is hard. It's hard to do individually, because we sort of need to, it's like we all need to get together en masse and just do like a deep breath in and then on the breath out, just let it all go together, and then it'll be really good. So I think it's a process. I think sometimes going through something really hard, like divorce can be, or also my dad died at the same time as, you know, just before I got divorced. And I think sometimes it takes a big event in your life for you to reevaluate what you're doing, and also think life's too short for me to be putting all these expectations on myself. And actually, I just want to be happy. I always used to say, like, when I was sad or crying, I just want to have a nice time. And I feel like that is the mantra now for my life. Like, I just want to have a nice time, and so whatever that means, I'm going to do it. So, you know, if today having a nice time means lying on the sofa all day in my pajamas watching films, then I'm going to do that. You know, obviously I'm come from a privileged place of, you know, I work from home and I can work out my own schedule and I don't have to go into a job every day. But I'm trying to do what makes me happy. And it's a constant process. Like, I keep needing to remind myself. Like, the other day I took the afternoon off because I worked during the weekend. So on Monday I was like, right, I'm going to take the afternoon off because I worked all weekend. But I still felt guilty, even though I was like working during the week. And I had to constantly remind myself throughout the afternoon that, like, no, you don't have to check your emails. You're allowed to take the afternoon off. Like I can just do whatever I want. I don't have to be productive.
Yes.
So I think it's just these like getting a little mantra of your head, like, I'm allowed to do this. This is okay. I'm in charge of me.
Absolutely. And what you were saying about, I just want to have a nice time. I used to do the same thing. But I was kind of like, I just don't want it to be so difficult. I just want to be having a good time. I don't want to sit here crying. I want to have fun. So yeah, I get that. And it was a way more positive, because after a while it's like, no, I want to have fun. It started to kind of retrain myself. So I'm glad I didn't say something that was, I don't know, more bleak and upsetting. That felt like a better thing to be crying while saying.
Yeah, it's funny because when I cry alone, sometimes I then like talk to myself about it, because it's like I need to just get it out. And like, you know, if you're not with a friend or you can't call someone, I just talk out loud to myself. So I always used to say just out loud crying, I just want to have a nice time. Also, I think it sort of sounds a bit pathetic. So I didn't want to say it to someone else, but I'd say it to myself, like, this is just what I want.
Yeah. And I think that's what we all want, especially as women. We do enough, and we're told enough things, and even including things like body image, like what should a woman look like? It's like, what is the thing, what's presented to us versus real life is such a it's such a difficult one. And I mean, I'm older than you, we're similar-ish ages, so we've seen, I suppose, the evolution of like what magazines and how the internet has changed kind of the body perception. Because when I was younger, it was like, what, in the 90s, lots of wafy kind of models, which that's fair enough, that's their body type, but then that was the only thing that was presented to us, and everybody looked a really specific way, whereas now there's definitely slightly more, not loads, slightly more body diversity. So like, what have you learned, or what did you learn when you were younger about what a woman should look like compared to what you know now?
I have learned, I don't know, I think body image is such a hard one, and it's one of the biggest and possibly most constant ones that kind of stays with you throughout your life. Because we have been taught that we need to be, I think everyone, no matter their shape, or a lot of shapes, actually, I don't want to say everyone, a lot of people feel like that they have to be thinner. But the range of those people, the range of body shapes of those people is huge, you know, but they all feel like they need to be thinner. So I would look at someone else and be like, oh, I want to be the same size as them. And they would still want to be thinner. Or, you know, a smaller bum or bigger boobs. Or we kind of taught that, like Jessica Rabbit, which is a cartoon, not a real human, is like, you're meant to have big boobs, especially at the moment, you're meant to have big boobs, you're meant to have a big bum, but you have to have a tiny waist, like no double chin, you know, really thin arms, but not too muscly arms, just slender, you know, all of those things. And it's like, you can't win. And then you look at like Renaissance paintings of women with completely different body shapes, and you look at art through the ages and how kind of body shapes change and are celebrated, and then you compare that to kind of magazines from especially when I was growing up, and it's so different. So I think for me, body image and loving your body is still very much a process. Like I go through times where I'm like, feel so comfortable in my skin, and you know, I put on weight during lockdown, but I felt fine about it. And I was kind of, you know, enjoying eating nice things and, you know, buying flowy clothes. And I didn't feel ashamed of, you know, a weight gain in that way. But then more recently, the world is opening up. And I'm like, oh, I'm going to see people that I haven't seen for 2 years, and they're going to be like, oh, she's put on weight. And then I think, why is that a problem? For them to think that. So it is a constant reminder, and checking myself, I think, as well, of like, my friends hopefully want to see me because they like me as a human.
They're not there to check out your ass.
No, like, hopefully they're going to be like, oh, it's so nice to see you when they first see me, and they're not going to be like, oh, you've put on weight. Do you know what I mean? but that's in my head, and so that's my thing. So I think it's really hard, but what's so brilliant about social media, and I know there are a lot of problems with social media, especially being a woman on social media, and the trolling is ridiculous. But what's great is that we're now, especially on Instagram, you know, we're now seeing people sharing images of themselves and loving themselves, you know, like Lizzo, loving themselves and showing themselves off and bringing that confidence and being of all different body types, and, you know, and sharing that love and other people connecting through that. And I think that's great because especially me as, you know, a curvier gal, it makes me feel more seen and like, oh, there are other people with similar body shapes to me and they love themselves.
Yeah.
And so that's like kind of inspiration for me to love myself and my body, which I do on and off.
I think, yes, it's I don't know many people that do consistently. There is like, no, because also hormonal changes, that hormonal changes will change your mood, so it will change what you think about yourself. Hormonal changes will change your body and how much water you're retaining, so it will change what you think about yourself, plus all these different messages. And it's definitely great when you start to see body shapes like yours. And you know, you're talking about there's that body shape of the small waist, big boobs, big bum, and this is not being braggadocious. That's been my body type since I was younger, when it wasn't a thing, and everyone took the piss out of me constantly. So it just shows how much it changes, because I was always had a really, I'm very short, I am 5'1", and it's just having a quite a bubble butt and then really big boobs from really young, which is disturbing in itself, because what that does with older men running in a school uniform, yikes. So that is a whole separate conversation. But then that, and constantly hiding myself because of that, until people started fetishizing J-Lo. And obviously there's different issues in that as well, because it was fetishizing what is naturally could be like a black woman's shape, but on a person who was white passing. So that had its own issues. But then it brought my body type into the mainstream. But then I don't have the whole slender arm things. I've got giant shoulders and my arms are big, but they're big because they're strong, because I lift weights and stuff like that. So it's it's always there's always so many different messages and things going on. And what I love at the moment that I'm seeing is more body types presented to me, and it's just there, and it's just normal. And then people loving themselves, not even loving necessarily, because loving still feels like such a high bar, accepting themselves and kind of getting on with it. And I love that even with fashion as well, it was hard to find clothes that fit me. I couldn't. And so again, with the whole baggy jumpers, hiding away everything else, I always felt self-conscious. And then seeing people of your body type dress like you, and you're like, oh, I could wear that because it looks great on them, so it looked great on me. And I think that's just also, not that every fashion is a be all and end all, but you know, what we wear does do a lot with how we feel and our confidence, doesn't it?
Yeah, and I love fashion and clothes, and there are some great like videos doing the rounds of like Instagram of two friends of very different body shapes.
Oh yes, I saw this.
Yeah, so one's like a size 8 and I think one's like a 16 or 18, and then they put on the same outfits.
Yeah,
and you're like, oh my god, they both look amazing.
They look
this is so cool.
Hot. Oh my god, don't they? Yeah, there's another one with 3 girls that do that as well, and it's like one's size 24, one is size 16 to 18, and then the other one's a size 8. And just every time they all look so fit. They look so hot.
And it's so nice to see, because you're like, yeah, oh, I can wear a dress like that, or like, you know, those shops that I used to think there's shops that don't cater for my big boobs or my big hips, and actually there still are some, but also I don't know if it was my idea of, oh, I can't wear that because I've got big hips, you know, or and I had, you know, fairly big boobs growing up as well. And I remember I always used to hide them. So whenever I sort of got them out, is the wrong phrase, but like whenever I wore a top where you could see some boob, people used to be shocked by how big they are, because I'd always hidden them. Whereas now I'm like, yeah, I love my boobs.
Yes, same, absolutely. It's like a lot of clothes I wear are see-through, so you can see my bras because I've got nice lingerie. Why am I hiding it? This is not made to be worn
Yeah.
under things. This is made to be worn out. But yeah, I was like that as well. Literally, just no one would know until you wore something different. They'd be like, I had no idea. And it's like, but also, you didn't need to have an idea as well. I think that's something we need to kind of like stop putting any expectations on what we want to see or what we should see of people. But yeah, but it's such a, I think it's interesting to see what will happen to the younger generations when it comes to things like how to be a woman, what body type you should have, and if there'll be, I don't know, more acceptance and people just wandering around being themselves. I really hope that's the case because, I mean, yeah, I just hope so.
Well, I feel like the younger generation are much more clued up than us. And also I'm loving the kind of acceptance of gender fluidity that's happening. So I wonder if, you know, the idea of woman will be sort of stretched much further, which is amazing. So you can just be, you know, you can be non-binary and so not identify with women at all, or you can be non-binary and sometimes identify as woman and sometimes identify as man and sometimes identify as just you. And I think that idea is actually really exciting because it means that you get to hopefully drop some of the history that's associated with kind of gender and these words like woman and man.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, they will just get to wake up and just be.
Oh,
which will be
that's amazing.
I know.
We hope.
Well, yeah,
I hope that
I hope so, and I hope reincarnation is true because I want to have a go. I want to live in that world. So, what do you wish you were told about being a woman when you were younger?
Oh, I don't know. I had quite a feminist upbringing. My mum's a sort of strong woman. She's always been the main earner in my family, and you know, worked full time and kind of high flying job. So I was very lucky in that I had like a role model for women in the workplace that, you know, I didn't see there being boundaries to me being really successful at my job. I think just, I wish I'd been told to celebrate me more as a woman, and that I don't have to be a type of person and I don't have to squish certain parts of my personality to be a woman in inverted commas. I can just be me, and I am a woman. So those things will work kind of alongside one another. Because I went to an all-girls school, which was brilliant in so many ways, but was also difficult because I was surrounded by so many women, and it was a very academic school. So we were all sort of taught to be just very focused academic people who sort of don't have fun. Or you know, an academic in the way that like writing essays is more important than knowing a lot about art and being an incredible artist, or and I mean, I don't want to do disservice to my school because I did have a brilliant time there, and I studied drama and they were very supportive. But yeah, I think just dropping all those ideas and just celebrating you and what you bring to the term woman. Yeah,
absolutely. I love that. And was there like a key moment when you feel like I know you said you're still working yourself out, we all are, the journey of working yourself out never ends, but was there a key moment when you kind of were like, you started to work yourself out and maybe were like, oh, okay, this is what it is, this is who I am, away from stereotypes, etc. Like what was that key moment for you?
I don't know, I think there have been a few. I think getting divorced was one of them, because I was literally moving away from the idea of, you know, marriage, house, 2 children. And also that had always been a sort of goal of mine without me thinking of it as a goal. You know, when they're like, write your goals for the next 5 years. I didn't write marriage and kids, but I'd always thought, well, obviously that's going to happen for me.
Yeah.
So getting divorced was so freeing, because I was like, oh, right, well, I've done that now. So now I can do whatever I want. And also, you know, I didn't have children in my marriage. And now being in my mid-30s without children, and there was a bit of shame around that initially of, oh, should I be having children? Should I be worrying about that? Should I be freezing my eggs? And actually at the moment thinking, right now I don't want children and I'm happy the way I am. And so I think the kind of divorce fueled a lot of that. But also, I have to say, this podcast is the first time I've said I'm bisexual.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, because I've said a lot kind of in passing, oh, I like men and women.
Yeah.
I think recently I had a bit of, this is so funny, I was watching Mae Martin's TV show, which is so brilliant, feel good, you should definitely check it out. And Mae is having a relationship with a girl who's always considered herself straight. And so she's kind of trying to work out her sexuality. And it just made me, I don't know, it just made me think, I'm bisexual. Like, because I can see the struggle in her, and I went through that, but I was always scared of saying the term or saying I'm queer or, you know, any of those phrases. So I always just said, oh, I like men and women in a sort of like,
kind of like nondescript, like
throw it away.
Yeah.
And so, and also on the census, you know, that you had to fill out, I ticked bisexual without realizing, you know, I sort of did it. And then in my head, I was like, oh, okay.
That's what I am. Okay, that's good.
Yeah. So also I think, you know, and I'm in my mid-30s, you know, saying that, but which feels, I feel like I should have worked this out sooner. But so,
you know, you live and you learn. It's like you're saying it's all a process. Why would you have worked it out sooner if life didn't give you the structure to work, all the circumstances to work that out?
Yeah, and you know, I was with a man for 10 years.
Yeah, why would you think differently?
So I wasn't kind of exploring that side of me because I was with him. So I think that was a really nice moment, again, of like helping me just, celebrate me and be like, this is me. Okay, cool.
I love that. Yay! That's brilliant. Like you're saying, it just happens. It happens all the time, and there can be so many moments as well. And it's like that you've mentioned before, when difficult things happen, how much it can focus you and how much it can change things. And I've had several moments of like just kind of almost like absolutely nailing down really specific parts of who I am out of these kind of different tragedies and these different pivotal moments. And and it's like, this is who I am. Oh yeah, cool. And you just kind of just register it as that's part of who you are, and then you just move on kind of more freely. And like you were saying, there's a part of you that wishes you worked out sooner, but that's just not how life works, is it? It's just it happens when it happens.
And also there's something in just, sometimes it's scary to say like, I am divorced, I am queer, you know, whatever your I am is. And like with my hearing aid, I am disabled. And for a long time, I was sort of like, oh no, well, I'm not really disabled, because obviously, you know, there's people who have so many more kind of accessibility issues than me. So I can't say that I'm disabled. And actually, you know, getting my hearing aid, talking to other people in the deaf community, you know, working with RNID, who I'm an ambassador for, and also weirdly getting a disabled person's rail card, which you're allowed to do if you have a hearing aid and if you're deaf. It kind of it made me go, oh, okay, well, if you know, the train company says that I'm disabled, then I'm allowed to say that I'm disabled. And so sometimes you're sort of working that out in your head for so long, and actually just saying the words is such a you're scared to do it, and then you say it and you're like, oh my God, yeah, of course, great. And it's like you're taking a big sigh. So it's nice.
Oh, I'm so I'm glad that these moments have happened for you, because like we can just go forward and enjoy life more. I think with every realization you can enjoy my life more, because we just want to, what do we both want? We just want to enjoy ourselves.
Have a nice time.
I just want to have a nice time. Exactly. And now we're like
have a nice time
in our own houses, just crying, saying I just want to have a nice time.
I just want to have a nice time as a divorced, bisexual, disabled person.
Exactly. Love it. So so we've talked about those key moments, and there's like that little parts of us that wish that we knew things when we were younger. What do you think stereotypes of what a girl and a woman does to like self-esteem of girls and women?
I think we call women girls for too long to begin with, and I think that sort of makes you feel smaller and, you know, more childlike, like, you know, we don't know about the world fully yet because we're still a girl, and, you know, like we haven't learned and we haven't grown up and all of those things. So you don't feel, if you're called a girl, you don't feel like a properly responsible, capable adult. I think there's a lot of just like, oh, girls can't do that, which is thrown around in the playground, and even by like older generations. You know, I remember people who have passed away now, but in my family, saying sort of things like, oh, girls don't do that. And even when you're playing, you know, and some little boys might be playing in the mud, but you're, as a girl, taught to not get dirty.
Yeah.
Because girls don't play in the mud. And I think that's dropping away a bit now, and lots of parents are kind of parenting in a gender neutral way, which is great. But I think even those little things stick with you. And actually, my friend Abigail Tartillin wrote a brilliant book. It's an adult's book called Dead Girls. And it's a fictional book, but it's about all the things that we tell little girls, like, don't go out late at night, it's dangerous. Don't wear that short skirt because it'll attract attention. So we're putting all the responsibility on young women and young girls to stop all this negative attention, rather than putting the responsibility on the people, you know, doing the bad stuff, which is ridiculous. And the book sort of takes it to the extreme of what this woman, I think she actually is a little girl, ends up doing because of all the things she's been told. And it's a thriller, and it's a great read, but it just really was stuck with me as well, of being like, wow, you know, I've been told all of those things. I've been told, don't wear that low cut top, don't wear that short skirt because you'll get too much attention, and don't go out at night, and don't walk in this area because, you know, it's bad for women alone walking in this area, and you know, all those things that people who are born male and brought up male don't think about.
Yeah.
You know, and there was this whole discussion recently on Twitter, which is so interesting, of women saying, you know, they wouldn't go out for a walk or a run when it's dark. And loads of men being like, oh wow, I didn't even think of that, like, I love running in the dark, I didn't even think that you'd not go out in the dark. And so I think there are lots of those sort of things that we unconsciously put on girls and women that are damaging, but we sort of need to change the whole approach to those things. You know, we need to educate little boys and men, as well as educating little girls and women, and also educate them all together.
Yeah, absolutely. I like the point that you made as well about the girls and women, and kind of women are called girls for too long, but at the same time we also have so much responsibility, way much more responsibility than boys and men, put into positions of taking control of, and like you're saying again, the word responsibility for all these things, but then men are held up as leaders, even though we have way more responsibility and have more to do. And I think that people, us being, like you're saying, kind of educated together, men, women, boys, girls, being educated together about things, and in that gender neutral way, which is something that a lot of people are kind of scared of. And when people say, like a celebrity says, I'm going to raise my child gender neutral, it's like there's a collective eye roll from people that don't understand what that means. And it's like, yeah, of course, all children should be like raised gender neutral, just to not internalize the nonsense, to do stereotypical nonsense to do with our assigned genders and our born genders.
Yeah,
that's it.
I think people view it as like an arty-farty thing that like Gwyneth Paltrow does just after she's seen her vagina.
Yeah.
And actually, it's literally just like the child can play with whatever toy they want. It doesn't have to be a doll if they're a girl, or a robot if they're a boy. And they can wear clothes that aren't pink or blue. They can be any color, and they can have dinosaurs on them, or they can have Barbies on them, or, you know, but like whatever they're attracted to. And I think it's actually, I mean, I don't have children, so I don't want to be like, it's an easier way to parent, because I have no idea. But hopefully it's a more, I don't know, collaborative, like with your child way to parent, because you're just like, what top do you want me to buy you? And then they can, you know, point at the top, and it's not like you have to get a pink one that says, I'm daddy's little sweetheart, you know?
Yeah.
And also it means if you have multiple children, they can just all share clothes.
Absolutely. And I think as well, if it carries on, and like in school and everything else, because there's always going to be like, there are things that definitely, like my nieces learnt from school that never came from home, about that things that the kind of, again, some of the gender stereotypes they've learned, because you're going to learn that, because not everyone, it's not going to be a blanket one size fits all approach for every single person in the country. Like from January the 1st, everyone raises their child gender neutral. We know it's not going to happen like that. But it's one of the things that would be great about it is shutting down that empathy gap as well, because of the way that girls are taught to be caring and boys aren't taught to be caring. Not that they don't have the capacity, they're just not programmed to do it in the same way. It gets, when they get to like being preteen, an empathy gap appears, and it continues to grow. And this is when we're older and we get into not all men territory as well. So it would be definitely make the world a better place if everyone understood it more, wouldn't it? What do you think when it comes to the whole how to be a woman? Well, I'll get this as an active example. So I was on Facebook recently, and there was a picture of Kendall Jenner in a red bikini, and there was a picture of, I cannot remember her name, but she is a young girl that like aspires to work at NASA, you know, the space agency. And there was like, they had this comparative picture, which again, comparison like fucks me right off anyway. They had this picture of both of them side by side, and it's like, why are we celebrating this talentless Jenner Kardashian over this girl who wants to go to space? And then it became this thing of, then people are missing the point so much, they're then just bashing one woman over the other, and it's annoying. And then people kind of then round like the Kardashians and everything else, like they agents of the patriarchy and that kind of stuff. What do you think when people kind of draw these comparisons, call some people agents of the patriarchy, and how that kind of feeds back into how to be a woman?
I think women bashing is never good, although there are some very problematic people out there and problematic women out there. I don't agree with the Kardashians, you know, promoting all the diet lollies and all of those things that they do. But they have made a success of themselves in their own right. They are business people, and they have a strong business model. So good on them for that. Someone training to go to NASA, good on them for that. I feel like they're two sort of separate things. I think the issue there is that they're comparing celebrity to like heroism. You know, like we view people who kind of go into space and do things for the good of the human race as those kind of hero of like, wow, that's so amazing what they've done. And we don't view celebrities as heroes, which is fine. But that's, you know, I do think that's two separate things. Like, I'm sure the Kardashians would agree that they're probably never going to want to be an astronaut, and that's fine. I think bashing people for their looks is always wrong.
Mhm.
If you disagree with their opinion, then disagree with it, or something that they've done, then disagree with it in a, critical way. I think a lot of time people are like, oh, if you're a feminist, you can't say anything bad about any other woman or identifying woman ever. And that's obviously not true, because there's lots of different kinds of people in the world, and not all of them, you're going to agree with them. Some of them are going to be the same gender as you. So, but I think it's just doing it in a respectful way.
Absolutely. Yeah, I think it's such an interesting one, because when I did see it, I saw a few people I know post it, not people that are hardcore friends, because I feel like the people I know would understand that was a stupid post. Like, I can say that post was fucking stupid, because it's like, here are two people who do completely different things. It's like apples and oranges, but also we can like both of them, or we can like one of them or none of them. It doesn't actually matter. But when people start to, it's particularly men, the men loved it. They were straight in there telling women how to be women. And it's like, if you want respect, that I respect her over her. I don't see why we would respect her. I don't see, and it's like, I don't know, stop quantifying respect. Where is this like this metric come from about how much, what we should do as women for you to respect us? Why can't we just be? But also I always think it's a really dangerous precedent when men particularly start to quantify what it takes to be worthy of respect as a woman, because it makes me think, well, what would you do to people you don't respect? That just makes you a dangerous man. It always, that there's something about that always gives me a bit of the ick. Like, I don't know if that does something to you.
I just feel like you should respect all women and all people, like regardless, like Katie Hopkins. I don't like most of what she says, but I still respect her as a human being. So I wouldn't like wish ill on her.
No.
And I think that's sort of the basic, isn't it? And I think actually what that article was about is, rather than comparing two women, it was, that comparison was saying, why do we celebrate people? Why do we only celebrate like, actors and people in the media and people who are perceived as beautiful? And why don't we also celebrate people who are doing incredible things, like going into space? And I think there's room for both of those things. I don't think we need to eradicate one.
Exactly. That's exactly what I thought. I was like, all of these things can be true at once. When it gets to these things, we kind of forget about we forget about the complexity and the nuances, and also forget about compassion as well. And it's just like, we can like all of these things. Everyone can do all these things. For all we know, the person that works at NASA may also want to take pictures of the bikini. It wouldn't change anything. It's like, it was an interesting one. It was particularly interesting because the woman that worked at, I say woman, she was like, she's a little bit younger than Kendall. She was also stunning. She was generically ridiculously good looking. And I was like, I can't help thinking that if she wasn't this generically good looking, in air quotes, I don't know how many people would have posted this or would have had something to say about it. So that, because that says a lot about how we receive what people look like and how we celebrate them as well. But
and also earlier I said, I'm sure the Kardashians would agree that they don't want to go into space, but actually that was me stereotyping them. So maybe they do. I don't know.
Yeah, Kim wants to be a lawyer. Courtney could definitely want to be an astronaut. We don't know. We haven't asked her. We need to ask that question. Like, to wrap up, what are some stupid things people feel that they can say to women about how to be a woman that we need to throw in the sea? Like, what can we just eradicate now? Like, how can we move forward?
Smile, cheer up, love, hate it. Why? I'm angry today. I'm going to be angry. I think someone once said that to me when I was angry, and I went, no, I'm angry, and carried on walking. Like, just in the street. Oh God, there's so many things. Telling us how to dress, it's none of your business. Telling us that things aren't very ladylike.
Oh, yep.
I hate that.
Yeah.
It's like, what does ladylike mean? that's also ladies are like a historical term for women who are like married to lords and ladies. So what, to be more ladylike, do I just need to marry a lord?
Yeah.
Like a peer of the House of Commons? Like, what? That's just a ridiculous, outdated phrase. The idea that women have to be delicate or elegant or gentle or caring, just any comment that tells us what we need to be needs to be thrown in the sea, because no one else gets an opinion on what you need to be. Only you get an opinion of, and it's what you are and what you're striving for. So all of that outdated idea of women and ladylike and girls can't throw and girls can't run and girls can't get in physical fights with boys in the mud, and all of that. Boys won't like you if and he hit you because he likes you. Such damaging messages that we say to children in school, and also damaging messages that you don't even realize are damaging until you actually think about it, because you've just picked it up from your own upbringing.
Absolutely, I couldn't agree more. And really, when it comes to how to be a woman, just be is maybe the thing, isn't it? Just be, and just ignore everything else.
Just have a nice time.
Yes, absolutely. Well, thank you so much for joining me today, Samantha. Where would you like to be found online? Where can we find out more about you? Where can we buy your book? And how long till your next book is published? Because I'm excited.
So you can find me on Instagram and Twitter at Samantha Baines, Baines. Also have a website, samanthabaines.com. My book, Harriet versus the Galaxy, about a little girl with a hearing aid, just like me, whose hearing aid translates alien languages and she protects the earth with her gran, is available in all good bookshops. Just won an award, actually.
Yay! Oh my God!
Yes, so I'm an award-winning author.
Oh my God!
Sounds proper. So it's available in all good bookshops. But if you go to bookshop.org, that supports independent bookshops. I love that one. And then my new book, The Night the Moon Went Out, about a deaf little girl who's scared of the dark, because the dark's even scarier when you can't hear stuff as well as can't see stuff because it's dark. She goes on a journey to turn the moon back on with the help of a talking owl, that is out in August, the middle of August, and you can pre-order it again on bookshop.org. Just search for my name or the title of the book. Brilliant. And my podcast.
Yes.
My podcast is called The Divorce Club and is available on all your podcasting platforms.
Amazing. And don't you do that kind of the ranting kind of section as well, where people can kind of turn up and vent, not rant, I should say, they can have like a venting session?
Yeah, so via our Patreon for the podcast, we have like a divorce chat room, like 90s MSN style, where everyone can share their experiences and ask questions. And then off the back of that, we started divorce venting sessions. So it's like a Zoom, and we do it like every month. And it's like pay what you want. So if people, for whatever reason, divorce is expensive, people can just come for free if they want to. And we all just have a little vent. Not a substitute for professional counselling.
Yeah.
But a nice place to just get everything out.
Love it. Thank you so much. You have brightened up my day just for a change, and I hope you and Custard have a glorious day.
Me too. I hope she doesn't poo anywhere.
Thank you for listening to Speak On. Make sure you like, subscribe, and share with your friends, family, co-workers, strangers in the street. To find out more about us, including our upcoming events, head over to Instagram, instagram.com/speakon_. Bye!